friends. Welcome to Fishbowl Roulette. I hope you are having a great day. For those of you who are just tuning in, Fishbowl Roulette is a podcast of random questions with a new guest every week. Today's guest has spent more than 3 decades investing in something bigger than sports and its people. Welcome, Roger Lipe. He is a coach, a mentor, a chaplain, and author of 16 books, speaker, and leader of leaders. He has worked everywhere from high school sidelines to professional baseball, helping athletes, coaches, and organizations build stronger characters, stronger cultures, and stronger lives. He's somebody that I'm really looking forward to speaking with. I know he has a lot to share. So you were referred to me as a guest by one of my favorite people, Jeff Bruni, who referred to you as his mentor for life.
No, that's a privilege.
So before we dive into the Bulls, because we're going to let the Bulls tell your story, but how did you get into coaching? What led you there?
Well, I mean,
because that's how you met Jeff, right? You were a football coach.
I was a football team chaplain.
Okay.
With football there at SIU.
That's a different kind of coach.
Yeah, different kind of coach.
Yeah.
I'm coaching coaches and I'm coaching players' hearts instead of their technique.
I love that.
Yeah. Grew up playing sport, loved it, continue to love it. Since I was able to stand up, I love to compete. And primarily in high school, I was a wrestler. That really shaped my mentality more than anything else in approach to life, because I wake up every day looking for a fight. It's like, let's go. I love that competitive edge and the tenacity that came with wrestling. And so that's really shaped the way I approach all kinds of things, from problem solving to a lot of relationships. I'm a tenacious person. So anyway, that was all that, and then became an official of wrestling after that. I was much better official than I was a wrestler, but did that for a number of years. And in the summer of 94, SIU got a brand new, very young head football coach. And I went in to welcome Sean Watson to town and just stopped by his office and offered to pray with him for a minute. And good. And he said, "Hey, when I played here, we had a team chaplain. Will you do that for me?" And I said, "Sure." I had the foggiest notion what to do. Not the first thought. Went down the hall to see Jim Hart, who had played all those years in the football Cardinals in the NFL. Knocked on the door. He was our athletic director. "Jim, when you guys had when you played in the NFL, did you guys have a team chaplain?" "Yeah." "What did he do?" "I don't know." Come on, I need more than that.
I need a little more.
So I got a little bit of feedback from him, and I thought, okay, let's just start. And so that was the fall of 94, and did it for 27 seasons thereafter, working with, and Jeff was among those guys on that first team.
Wow. So this kind of goes back to even our little discussion that we were having in the hallway, which is my favorite saying is men make plans and God laughs.
Mm-hmm.
The through line of that is very interesting.
Yeah, but it really, I had a sense of calling on my life from the time I was 16. But if you're a knucklehead from Carbondale in the 70s, I mean, all the options for ministry look like be a pastor. And I'm like, no, I'd be bad at this. Or be a missionary to some place you can't pronounce. And I'm like, they don't even play baseball there. Why would I?
Right.
What?
They don't know.
No,
they don't know about baseball.
This is dumb. Oh, it's crazy.
I have to get a lot of shots.
There was nothing available until this kind of opportunity came up in the early 90s. And I thought, this is like a perfect fit.
That's really interesting. So I had this thought. This is a little separate than what you were talking about before we dive in, but this is like a blind podcast too.
Okay.
You and I have not met before.
No, never.
Right? So it's a blind podcast answering random questions. You were showing a lot of faith.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I like it. So
I trust you because I trust Jeff.
That is almost always a mistake. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm mostly teasing. So tell me about some of your travels as a chaplain.
Oh, well, I was thinking about this today. I've made lots and lots and lots of bus rides around the Midwest in Saluki football stuff, Saluki basketball things. Did lots and lots of that. So there's that level of travel. But then from maybe the early 2000s, suddenly global opportunities started happening. So I've been privileged to go to 6 continents of the world and do training for other people to be chaplains, and having written some things about that kind of gave me the platform to do that, because suddenly there was a book of training available. And when I started, there was nothing. And so I took a 3-year process to kind of analyze why does what I do work? And then that generated that first book of training for sports chaplain kind of things. And then that then people said, "Oh, hey, that's pretty good. Can you come to see us? Can you come work with us in Australia? Can you come work with us in Singapore and places like that?"
Wow.
So that's been fun and getting ready to do some more.
You mentioned the word calling. When you said that you knew you had a calling on your life at 16, did you know what that calling was, or you just knew that God was calling you to do something?
Yeah, no clue. Again, I'm a 16-year-old knucklehead from Carbondale, but I'm coming up.
And a wrestler.
Yeah, exactly. So double knucklehead. But here I am it's a 72, and I wound up being one of those kids at Explo 72. If you saw the Jesus Revolution film, I'm one of those 500,000 people down there on the ground in that flyover kind of thing. So I'm like, this is phenomenal. And so what do you do with it? I don't know. But I had a sense that God wanted me to do something beyond what I wound up doing, like working in the building industry and home centers and lumber yards and wholesale distribution companies and all that. I'm like, there's something else. There's a scratch that needs to be itched, and this is not it. And then finally, after volunteering with ministries for a long time and trying to be faithful in my church and serve there, these other things kind of brought my love of God and love for ministry and my bent towards sport kind of folded them together. And I'm like, this is it. Let's go.
That's great.
Been going for 31 years that way.
Yeah, that's
32
great.
now, I guess.
And you're really involved in I always get it backwards, and I'm apologizing for that now, the Christian Fellowship
of Christian Athletes.
That's it. I always get it backwards.
Yep.
I don't know why.
Served for them for 27 years in Southern Illinois.
What's the impact that you think that you've made there?
Standing back from it a long time now, it is when I see faithful young men and women who are now in their 40s and 50s, that they're doing the stuff we talked about when they were college kids and they were knuckleheads and they were doing silly things. But we're talking about, hey, this is what it is to be faithful across the long haul. That's fun. That's the fruit of it, is they're still running straight. This is good. Because they're parents now, and so they're well into their careers. And was just in San Diego with a heptathlete from Chester, Illinois, married a football player from San Diego, and they have 3 kids and are doing great. The kids are in college and high school, but he's Commander Hallahan now of San Diego PD, and she's phenomenal. And just to see that couple flourish as they have, that's a big, big win for a guy like me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's that through line.
Yeah,
right?
And it's like being a parent. But here, my wife was very good at being mom to 105 football players a year, and I got to be surrogate dad for a whole lot of guys who grew up with no dad. And so how do you help those young men become men and not just overgrown boys?
Yeah. One of the things Jeff did share with me is that your wife was like his second mom. That's what he referred to her as. And that he told the story of, I don't know if she must have called him, because that was before we could text or do anything, and asked if he'd been to class. And he said yes. And she said, I saw your car, like, da-da-da-da-da, you got to go to class.
Yep.
And, tough love seals the deal sometimes.
Yeah. She was great at that. She'd wag her finger at these, 6'5", 250 guys. You better get to class. I'm calling your mother. And just, whoa, don't mess with Miss Sharon. She will straighten you out.
Did she do that with you?
She tried.
Bigger fish.
It's like,
no, she loved you as you were.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, are you ready to dive into a fishbowl?
I am.
Okay. So we have 4 different fishbowls.
Okay.
They're the beliefs, a guest bowl, wild card, and warning. These are all related to what I believe are your passions and your experiences.
Cool.
So let's just see where we go. I would love to watch your story unfold. And you get to choose which one you want to start with.
Oh, my.
And you have to pull it and read it, the whole shebang.
Right, let's go right to left.
Okay.
Here we are in the beliefs jar.
This is always where I panic and think, did I get it right?
Bowl.
I know. I've got
Okay. First one. What does a meaningful life actually look like? I think a meaningful life is when you can get a convergence of one's beliefs and your passions and your giftedness and your skills and your kind of the set of people that you connect with best. So all that stuff, when that converges, then you get what I had there. It's like I don't have a clue what's going on in the mind of a musician. Not the first thought. However, when I see a guy standing on a free throw line with, a tenth of a second left on the game and it's a 2-point deficit, if he makes both of these free throws, we win the game. What's going on in his mind? I know exactly what that is.
What is it?
It's pressure. And the best ones that he's looking at, all he's thinking about is, I'm going to throw the ball over the front of that rim and it's going to go in and it's going to splash and it's going to be awesome. But the ones who are panicking, I know what that is too. But I know what's going on. I can read their body language. I can see that in their eyes and that stuff. That's that part of this. These are the people you connect with best. It's like coaches standing on a sideline. I know what they're thinking about. And all that stuff, when you get all those factors kind of going together, that's rich. That's really meaningful.
So we live in a time, I feel like, that people talk a lot about go live your passion, go live your heart, which I agree with. Why wouldn't you want to do that? And then there's a lot of people that are like, wah, wah, like you have, like life, there's parts of life that are never going to be your passion. There's parts, which is true, right?
Sure.
So coach us a little bit. How does somebody identify those four corners and kind of make them meet up?
Yeah, I think some of it is let's measure our expectations. That did not happen for me at 21. No.
Oh, no. The most stupid things happen in our 20s.
Exactly. And so there are a lot of dues to be paid along the way to that. If we just look historically at people, when did they arrive at their place of greatest significance? It's like Abraham Lincoln was well down the line. Biblically, Moses was 80 when the Exodus started. That's when it started. Dude's 80. So he's not a kid.
Good reminder.
No, exactly. Yeah. Jesus was 33. He's the Son of God. I'm not. So relax. Take some time. Pay your dues. But sometimes it takes a long time to sort out who are those people I connect with best. It takes a while to figure out and to develop skills and to figure out what I thought was passion was just I was infatuated with this idea. It's not that real. So give yourself some time. Relax. Stay at the task of connecting with people that really click with you. And often those things will help you. They'll help you get to the right spot. So a lot of it for me is measure your expectations. Give yourself some time for this stuff to work out. I was 37 before those things landed with me. I was just talking on the phone with a kid who's down in Branson starting his career with FCA, and he's like 24. Well, he's got a 13-year head start on me, but he said, hey, can we meet and talk about some things? Yeah, let's do that. So maybe the old guy has some wisdom to share with him as he launches into his career of, you don't have to fall in these holes I fell in because I know where the holes are. You don't have to fall in that. Here's some things to take advantage of along the way.
Yeah, that's great. I agree with you. I never really thought about it in those terms. I just thought it just took me some time. And, my 9-to-5 role, my title is recruiter and developer. But what I have learned is that I actually am passionate about people and their stories and helping them identify different things and their growth.
Yeah.
I don't get paid for any of that technically, but I get to develop myself and use that skill set, And, at 56, I started a podcast. We're going to see where it goes.
There you go.
But,
exactly.
Give yourself some time.
Yeah.
And I think surround yourself, like you touched on that a little bit.
It's about people.
It's about people. The people that you have around you, or it's kind of almost everything.
Yep.
Yep,
it is. And I think it was Tom Matukowicz. I remember from SEMO football, Tom and I were talking one day, and he had come across this quote, or he paraphrased it to say, you're going to be the same person you are today in 5 years, except for the books you read and the people you meet.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful.
That will help you develop. It's reading good books and connecting with good, solid people. They will help you develop. Or if you just sit there and stagnate, sorry, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
For me, this is driven by a text in the New Testament, 1 Thessalonians 5:24. It says, faithful is he who calls you. That was me. I was the guy who thought I had a calling from God, and he will bring it to pass. That's a whole lot better than God calling me and me bringing it to pass. He kind of carries me along in the process. Often I don't have a clue about where we're going just yet, but if I'm faithful and I can just keep moving, the ship can be steered a little more easily than if it's sitting dead. And so let's keep working on going down the path, and we'll get steered to the right places and the right people.
Yeah, keep moving forward. I actually had a leadership development for my 9 to 5 this morning, and we were talking about coaching, right? And one of the questions, and I'm probably going to get it exactly, not exactly right, but it essentially was like, even if you cannot solve this today, how do you move forward?
Yeah.
And that's such an important, it's a skill. It's something to learn. And I think that there's a lot of people out there who just, well, I don't know the answer, so I'm stuck. And I've been that person sometimes. I think we probably all have. But yeah, to your point, moving forward. Okay, before we move on to another bowl, you mentioned books. What are the 3 books that you would direct anybody to grow themselves?
To grow themselves? Well, okay, 1, read your Bible. That's a good idea.
I figured
2,
that'd be number 1.
Yeah. A great one is Good to Great by Jim Collins, especially if you're in the business world. It's an analysis of companies that were good. They had steady growth and they did all this thing, but then they compared those with companies that had exponential growth. What made them great? What were those factors? So that was a great one, and applies to a lot of things that we do. So that one was very good. And then in this era, the way business is shaping and the way organizations shape and all that kind of stuff, there's a brilliant one called The Starfish and the Spider. That talks about the difference between networks and hierarchical organizations, and how if one aligns himself well and kind of organizes things well in a network setting, you can often accomplish a lot more, especially for the people at the edges or in the hierarchical system there at the bottom of the organization. Often the best information, the best knowledge is with them. So how do you create a system where the people at the core of the organization, the CEO, the COO, those big shots, how can they hear clearly what's happening at the field level so that they understand and they create new systems based on the best knowledge that's happening right in the interface with customers? And so anyway, The Starfish and the Spider, brilliant book.
Interesting.
And it talks about the advantages that are there, especially in this era of life. This is not the 1940s. It's not the 1970s, where big monolithic organizations like IBM and a very hierarchical way of organizing work. A lot of folks right now with Gen Z, and now Alpha's coming up behind them. And I mean, even millennials don't like that stuff. They love networks. And so if you can figure out how to work with them in a fashion that fits them, you get their best. And you don't have begrudging employees. You have enthused employees.
Okay, this is just purely selfish on my part. I'm gonna ask one more question.
Okay.
How do you get the best out of those 3 generations that you, besides
good.
Like what does that look like? Because those are my kids, and I think both of my daughters are spectacular. I also get it though, because I also work with that age group, and I'm like, what's happening? What's going on?
Yep. One is, I have a plan of how you want to develop people. That's one. But then 2, in my generation, probably our generation, I'm older than you, but we would, if coach said do this, well, we just did it. We weren't asking why very much. So with probably Gen X, my son's age, 50-ish, and down, you got to tell them why for them to buy in. They need to know why, the why behind the directive or whatever. But then beyond that, especially with probably millennials and younger, I get more accomplished by asking good questions than I do by making statements. Not even close. It's harder. It's messier. It takes more time. But if I can get them to arrive at the same idea I would have told them, they own it because they figured it out.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
They don't know that I'm sneaky and I got them to figure it out. Yeah, this is the point of, and that's what good coaching is now, like in a business setting. If I ask really good questions, I draw out of the person I'm coaching his or her best stuff, and they arrive at the truth thereafter. And in so doing, they own it, as opposed to if I told them the same thing directly, they may be dismissive and go, yeah, whatever, boomer. But if I can get them to figure it out on their own, we both win.
Yeah, that's great. That's what we've been talking about, directive versus non-directive coaching and how much more effective non-directive. It is a longer path.
It is. It's messier. They may or may not figure it out today.
Yeah.
But maybe by next week they figure it out and you go, way to go. That's brilliant thought.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. What do we do next?
Oh, let's go to the guest bowl. Pull one out here. All right. What's something you believed at 30 that you completely disagree with today? Probably my wife should do what I tell her.
Did you really think that?
Oh, yeah. I was an idiot.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Bad husband early on. Figured out much later that there are things she does infinitely better than I do. And I probably ought to leave those to her.
So I'm interested. Talk a little bit more about that.
Look, we got married at 19 and 18.
Oh, you were babies.
Dumbest post. Just not smart.
Could she cook?
Oh, she's a great cook.
Great.
Yeah, great cook. But again, we were knuckleheads, and then we were parents at 21.
Babies.
Good grief. Yeah, exactly. So babies raising babies. But the thing is, we were highly committed to each other. That's why the marriage worked. Didn't matter if it was convenient. Didn't matter if it was easy. Didn't matter if we had no money. Didn't matter. We're committed to each other. That's why
the ship does not go down.
No, that's it.
Might get this far, but it's not going down.
Yeah, no, we're together. That's the end of the story. And so we were married 50 years and 7 days. And but again, early on, I was like, she should really do what I say. And I'm like, no, this is a bad idea.
How long? But what I just heard you say was at age 30, you still thought that. You got married at 19. So you're saying for like 11 years, she was like, fine, Roger.
No. She would push back. That's for sure.
And then you finally were like,
but I was like, no, we need to figure this out and figure out what she does well and figure out what I do well. And I'm not going to step on her roles.
Evenly yoked.
Yeah. But again, it's simple things like she handled our finances for 50 years. So I didn't, all of a sudden she's gone and I had to sort that out. And I'm like, holy smoke, I'd be terrible. Figured it out. But I'm not as good as her.
Yeah. It's a big shock after that minute. I mean,
it's incredible.
You're like,
but
what?
At the same time, I knew early on she herself and her family, they're not really good at crisis and they're not good at death and mourning and all that stuff. And so guess what? Stoic German boy is going to step up and I'm going to be the guy who handles all the hard stuff. I'm going to be the guy who goes to the hospital, to the ER, to the morgue, to the funeral home. I'm the guy.
So 2 questions. Number 1, where did that belief come from? That she should just do everything the way you thought it should be done. Was that how you were raised?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, my parents were born in 1930 and 1934. And so it was very traditional. My mom stayed at home and was a housewife and raised 3 boys.
Yeah.
And so I'm seeing those kind of things and dad was in charge of these things and mom handled the house. And I'm like, hey, I'm expecting housework to be done like my mom did. Oh, bad idea. And so, yeah.
Yeah, so my grandparents, my papa was born in 1929 and my Elin was a little bit younger. And my dad still tells the story to this day about, he'll say, I don't ever remember being in Papa and Elin's house and asking for popcorn or ice cream, but they would just magically appear at the right time or the occasional whiskey drink. And I had to really stop and think about that. And I thought, yeah, that's pretty accurate. Stuff just happened. It was a clear division, but I don't know that anybody ever bothered to ask Elin if that's what she wanted to be doing.
No, probably not. No, but again, they're coming out of very traditional roles, whereas Sharon's parents both worked full-time jobs.
Oh.
And we were working full-time jobs. And so it was just the economy is totally different in that
Yes.
kind of setting. And so we had to figure out which tasks do we share. I'm the floors guy. If the floors are going to get cleaned, I'm the guy. And other things, what are those roles? And we had to figure that out over time because it wasn't quick and it wasn't easy.
I was going to say, so did you just figure it out, or was there a big, like, sort of what I would call come to Jesus meeting where you're like, this and something's got to give here?
Yeah, we had
and
a
it's
few
probably
of those.
me.
Yeah, we had a few of those. Even after my son was born and he's in grade school and things were not pleasing to me, I said, all right, we're having a family meeting at this time and we're going to sort some stuff out. And one of those days was we have to figure out, okay, these are the tasks that have to get done around the house for it to function. You pick the ones you want and I'm going to pick up what's left.
Smart.
So I'm going to give you the first shot at these. And then once in a while it was like, okay, the house is a mess. If stuff is on the floor after 3:00 today, I'm throwing it away. Oh, they would scramble because I do not like clutter. Sharon's happy as a clam with clutter and it's stuff like that. It was just like, okay.
That you literally just described my parents. Their friends would say the biggest fights, because my mom was a teacher.
Yeah.
So her clutter was organized, but it was in baskets all over the place. And my dad, like, if you put a drink down in front of him right now and there's still liquid in it, it's going to be gone because he's going to take care of that and wipe it down while he's at it.
Yep.
And those would be some of their biggest fights were just the clutter. The funny thing, though, is my room was less than clean all the time as a teenager. It's just kind of what happens. And I had 2 closets. So I deduced early on that I could take some clutter and shove it in one closet. And I came home one day and my mom had pulled everything out of both closets. Wow. And I'll tell you what now, I never did that again. I was in there a long time getting that organized. But lesson learned. Lesson learned. Huh. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's interesting.
Sure.
That's a lot of people probably wouldn't say it like that, but you know what? That's real life.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. It's the point of it. Shared humanity.
Exactly. We had to figure stuff out. And I remember telling Jason one time, son, clean up your room. And he said, Dad, I don't know how. I'm like, all right, let me show you. Let's start at the top and we'll work our way down to the floor. Yeah. Oh, okay. But he needed a system. And it was like, oh, okay. But once I taught him, he knew how. I had a daughter one time. I swear she had one of those T-shirt cannons in her room. I mean, I was like, I remember walking in. It was like a weird kind of house, and her bedroom was up at the top. And I walked in, and I was like, what? I'm not even sure what level of effort it was required to make it look like this. That's funny.
So, yeah, I was like, where's the T-shirt cannon? She didn't have one. It was just all on her own. So, cool. That's okay, great. We've got warning. All right. Wild card.
All right, here comes warning.
Plus, we have the lightning round at the end.
Oh, good. I like lightning.
And any other random questions I want to ask.
Good. I'm for random. All right. What's a lesson you learned too late in life? Wow. Probably that life is more brief than you would expect.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it may be difficult, but a year ago, January, I'm in Chicago working with coaches at University of Illinois, Chicago, and Northwestern and DePaul, and we're seeing basketball coaches and everything's going great, and spent the night in a hotel. I'm going to spend all day with DePaul basketball on Tuesday. But I get a text message at like 7 o'clock in the morning from my wife saying, hey, can you get home? I think I need to go to the ER. I'm in Chicago.
You're going to probably have to go without me.
I can't probably drive home in 10 minutes. Like, what's going on? I have this shortness of breath and all this stuff. And I'm like, now I'm talking to my colleague who's there with me, and we're sitting there over breakfast in the hotel lobby, and I'm going, I think I probably need to go home. Coach, could you take me to O'Hare and I'll buy a plane ticket and go home? So I went to O'Hare, bought a plane ticket, flew to Marion, and had her in the ER by 11:30 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
So that was serendipitous, and I'm very happy for that. But now we're sitting in the ER and we're going through all this stuff, and it's shortness of breath. So they're ER doctors. They start with the most common things of, let's do a chest x-ray, see if it's pneumonia, or see what it is, and started doing all that kind of thing. And about later in the afternoon, they're coming in. They did a CT scan. Well, you know what? I don't see anything in your lungs, blah, blah, blah. But there's something at the bottom of this I don't really like. Let's do a CT scan of your abdomen and see what's there. Okay. Come back in a while later, and the doctor says, okay, what I thought I saw on that one is what I see clearly here now. This is what cancer looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So immediately everything shifted on a dime right there. We're like, okay, what does this mean? And I'm a problem solver to where I run to the worst case scenario first and work my way backwards. If I can handle the worst case scenario, then I can deal with anything else short of that. Okay. So I'm doing that in my head while we're there in the ER and talking with Sharon, and she doesn't know what's going to happen. And but that was when we got our first indicator that this could be cancer. And then a few days later, we see an oncologist in Southern Illinois, and they said, no, we don't have a gynecological oncologist, so I'm going to refer you to St. Louis. We go see those people, and a few days later, we're going, well, we don't know what to expect. We don't know what's going to happen. Get up there, and they didn't even let us go home. They put her right in the hospital and started dealing with the real consequences of what was there. And so that started a 5.5-month battle that culminated on June 27 when she passed. And it was, the brevity of life, having just a couple of years before buried my dad, and the next year buried her dad, and just so, but they're in their 90s. We're in our late 60s at this point, and suddenly the brevity of life had a whole new dimension that day. That was one thing I learned a little too late. I knew it was there, but I didn't think about it in such personal terms as I could lose my bride.
Yeah, I know one of the questions in one of these polls. I'm going to go ahead and ask it because I think that there's a lot of grief in the world right now. Yeah. There's always a lot of grief in the world. What, if anything, did grief teach you that nothing else could have taught you?
Well, having, grown up in a blue collar family, and if nothing else works, you just work harder, and self-reliance and all that wrestling tenacity kind of stuff. The grief of that process just taught me is there's most of this stuff I cannot control if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
I can't fix it. I was a dad. That's what I do. I fix things. I solve problems. I can't fix it. I can't solve the problem. And so that was it a lot, is I'm terribly inadequate for some of the biggest stuff in life. And I have to trust somebody bigger than me.
Yeah, that's where God comes in.
Yeah.
I have not lost somebody that close to me, but I've lost people. But this story has been on. I'll probably cry with you a little bit. So I lost my uncle, a long time ago. I think 98 maybe.
Wow.
And my baby cousin was 16. And I can still remember us all being at the hospital. And, by that time he'd lost consciousness. And there was a sacredness about it.
Oh, yeah.
But I remember my aunt getting into bed with him and having the nurses put his arms around her. And I thought, and I still think, that sucks, but that's love worth having.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's the interesting thing about grief is you can't have it without love.
No.
They go hand in hand.
No.
And it's just what it is.
Yeah. The day before Sharon passed, we're at the hospital here in town, Mercy Hospital, and talking with the doctors, I said, hey, can we get Sharon home for hospice care rather than doing it here? Can we get her home where family can be more at ease and that sort of thing? And yeah, we can do that. So they asked for an ambulance to come, and I'm being my hyper self, pacing back and forth through the hospital room. She hadn't talked in like 2 days. And I'm pacing back and forth, and I'm looking down the hall. Where's the stupid ambulance? And I turned and looked at her, and suddenly her eyes are open, and she's looking right at me with those big blue eyes. She goes, "Be patient." Baby, you've been telling me that for 50 years. I'm still not very good at it.
What a gift.
Okay. So her personality never left. Her body was wasting away. And then the next day, or later that afternoon, we got home, got to our place in Jackson. They brought her in on a gurney and put her in our bed and got it adjusted just the right way. And hospice nurse was there and some family and all that. We got her into our bed, and I said, "Oh, baby, this is great. I'll just crawl in over here and kind of cuddle up real close." She goes, So,
when you don't feel good.
Yeah,
That's funny.
But that was just who she was. She enjoyed poking me in the ribs once in a while.
That's awesome. That's a gift to get at the end.
Yeah. Even in her last 24 hours, she was just exactly who she was.
Yeah. What do you think happens in the afterlife?
Well, I just know what I read in my Bible, that to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. What that looks like, I haven't the foggiest notion and won't pretend to know.
Yep.
But that's good enough.
Yeah. That seems like a pretty okay deal.
That's not bad. Yeah. I'll take that. Yeah.
I'll accept that answer, Alex Trebek.
Exactly. Yeah. That'll work.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
That's
okay.
deep.
One more.
Wild card. I don't know that it gets better than that, but I think that's the... Maybe this will be funny. Maybe this one will be funny.
It's like the potpourri from Jeopardy.
Well, here you just give your answers. You don't actually have to know things.
With everything happening in our current political climate, do you think people vote based out of fear or personal values? I think there are probably innumerable motivations for people and why they make choices they do, political and otherwise.
Sure.
Some of those are healthy and some of them are foolish. Some are wise. And despite 24-hour-a-day news rolling up in front of us all the time, I think most of us are still terribly informed about what the real issues are and are inadequate to even grasp some of the things that are happening.
Well, I'll tag on to that. I think most people don't even know how government works anymore.
No. And yeah, a friend of mine who has dealt with heads of state in various parts of the world, his expression about this, he says, look, left wing, right wing, the whole bird is sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the whole thing is sick. So the political parties and all that stuff, I'm way less interested in that than I am. Who is that person? The farther we are removed from these things, you don't know who to trust.
Right.
And you wonder about it just within your own community. Is that a guy I can trust, or is that, regardless of his political affiliation? But there are some core values. One must know what it is you value most deeply. And if those things are on the ballot, that should guide the way you vote more so than, oh, I like that guy's haircut or that person's gender or that. No, stop it.
Right. I think that sometimes it's a lack of taking the time to be informed.
Of course.
And I'll go on the record and say I used to be a lot more informed than I am now. I'm so nauseated by it all that I don't like the way it makes me feel. Like every now and then, I'm not completely ignorant, but I definitely 10 years ago, I knew a lot more because I think that I trusted what I was hearing a little bit more. And now I hear so much that I'm like,
yeah,
that's probably didn't happen.
Yeah, you get information overload and you can't process it all anyway. And you're okay. If you listen to that channel, you get this angle. You listen to that one, you get another angle entirely. Well, which one's the truth? Well, they're probably both spinning it their own direction, and you're not sure what the real reality is. And so those things are hard, I think, but it helps to know what your core values are and be able to think in terms of those. But I think it's difficult to do that sort of thing. And again, straight up with the question, I think a lot of people do vote out of fear. Oh, if they'll reason if we elect that person, this will happen.
Right.
And it's driven by fear more than aspiration or
even anything that person has said.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's not even that.
Yeah.
Because what they say this year may be total contradiction to what they said 2 years ago.
We won't name any names.
No, it's just a matter of politics is mostly driven by expedience. What is expedient to get me elected? That's what they will say.
Yeah.
It's
unfortunate. And then I was raised up. I mean, I still remember seeing Ronald Reagan. My parents took me to Arkansas to go see him. And I mean, I was third, fourth grade. I don't even know. I was a kid. I was in grade school for sure. And that place was electric, and I couldn't tell you obviously what he said, but it was very clear to me that he had that thing that drew people to him in a positive way. It seemed like. And I feel like now that there's such a fear base that people like glomming into different corners, protecting something that they don't even really understand what they're protecting in order for what you said. So the other thing doesn't happen, even though we don't really know what the other thing is, but this person maybe believes it because they're sitting with this person. And then here we are. There's a lot of dots to connect without being on video. They couldn't see my hands.
Well, I remember being at the 92 political Democratic and Republican conventions in the summer of 92. That was the Bill Clinton election. That was
be Bush won, right?
Yeah. 92. That was Bush won, lost.
Yeah,
that one. But being on the site there, on the ground, not looking just through a camera lens, you're seeing all the different little factions of people lobbying for their own little things. And this group over here protesting about that, and this group over here protesting about this. You're going, holy smoke, what a mess. And then they get onto the floor and it's its own mess. And then you get all that other stuff. You're going, how does any of this lead to a singular candidate? And it's, wow.
It's a very interesting process.
Yeah. And just a friend of mine was on the board of trustees. He was added to the board of trustees of Southern Illinois University. And so that's an appointment from the governor and through the legislature and all that. And we were talking, he said, all the horse trading that got done between political people just for that appointment to be on a board. He said, it's slimier than I wanted to think about. It was just this little thing. Imagine big issues.
Wow.
What's happening? And I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And maybe it's always been like that. It was just glossed over. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, you look back to the founders of the Constitution, there are a whole bunch of different factions in that thing. And how do you write this? And then
can you imagine being in that room?
Oh my.
Just the arguing over like one sentence.
Yeah. And then the longer it goes into the night and the number of beers that were had, and how many of those guys are thinking rationally toward the end of the discussion. Right. You go, my gosh, how did this work? Yeah.
Living by candlelight.
Exactly.
Means that rooms are smoke filled.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's just an interesting climate that the world is in now. So before we dive into your lightning round,
sure.
If you were talking to a group of up and coming coaches, what would you tell them is the most important thing that they could really ever do in their lives as a coach?
Know why you are coaching. Not necessarily how, but why are you coaching? A good friend of mine and a brilliant author asks these 4 questions of coaches. He says, why do you coach? He wants them to be able to answer that question. Why? Why do you coach the way you do? What does it feel like to be coached by you? And how do you define and measure success?
Who is your friend?
Joe Ehrman. His book is called Inside Out Coaching. And I think it has done more to help coaches get from coaching transactionally, meaning I'll give you the love and approbation you want if you produce for me. It's transaction. To get from transactional coaching to what he calls transformational coaching, where you have an unbelievable amount of influence with those players. Can you be a transformational agent to where you help them grow and develop for their own sake, not just for the sake of your program? So I'm going to give you the love and approbation you want, period.
Yeah.
Not if you produce. And so to change from transactionally coaching to transformationally coaching is not easy, but it starts with why do you coach? And some coaches coach for a paycheck. Some of them coach because they love players. They love the process. They love the sport. And all that stuff kind of converges into that role. I remember talking with Coach Matukowicz the first day of the first practice of the fall in his first season here. He had been an assistant, and he was at Southern for a while and various other places. And suddenly he's the head coach at SEMO, and was standing there with my wife on the practice field in August, first practice. And I said, Coach, how you feeling about things? He said, you know what? Since I was 12, I thought this is what I wanted to do. He looked at me in the eye and he said, now I know it. Yes.
That's a great.
That was one of my best days of what I do, is to see that guy grow and develop and become that guy that's who thought he was made to be. Now he is it. Oh, that's pretty rich.
Yeah.
So I would have coaches think about, why do you coach, and be able to answer that clearly, so that if a player's parent asks you, why are you doing this, you win trust with her because of the way why you coach her son or her daughter.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in today's world, winning trust with parents helps the great coaches become even greater.
Absolutely.
You know, I was a competitive swimmer for 10 years, so I have a lot of value in being coached, and I have coaches, professional coaches now. I think the kids who got coached but also didn't get coached, not because of the coach necessarily, lost so much.
Oh.
It's unfortunate that there's a trend that, you know, to get in the way of good coaches, or even just get in the way of coaches. Like, you know, it's okay for somebody else to help mold your kid, in my opinion.
Sure.
There's people who would disagree with that. But,
yeah.
But that's just what it is. Well, thank you.
Yeah, that's the thing. Parents, if they find good allies like good coaches, they're going to give them room to be influential with them. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Should.
Yeah, I have a guy in my office. His son is a track person at a local school and got recruited to go there. And the love and affection that the whole team has for the coach that recruited this kid in. And I met this individual, and it's the passion and genuine love he has for helping develop these kids is evident in everything he does.
That's huge.
And yeah, you wouldn't want their kid there. You know,
that's awesome. Yep.
Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, well, before I let you off the hook, I must find the lightning round. Where did it go? It's over here amongst my stack of papers. First of all, I do want to say I really, really appreciate getting to know you.
No, my privilege. Thank you.
Via this podcast. Thank you for being on, especially just because you took it off on the word of somebody. So I think that you shared some really profound information, and I think people coach because they want to create impact. So I know that our listeners today got something that they needed.
Hope so.
Thank you for that. But now let's have some fun.
Good.
All right. Lightning round. What gets you fired up the fastest?
Competition, like a opening kickoff for ball game, first pitch of a baseball game, that kind of stuff. Let's go. Yeah.
Okay. So I always have a side note when we start this. I got introduced to Ole Miss football tailgating last year. That's addictive.
Yeah. It's its
being
own thing,
in that kind of stadium, and I have been to an LSU game a couple of times. I was like, I could do anything right now. Just put me on the field, coach. I've got it. Right? Like, it's got that
The Grove
feeling.
is the happening place.
Oh, yeah. I'm going this year for the Mizzou game, too. So, and I know I'm from Missouri, but I don't know. I'll be hard-pressed to see who I'm rooting for.
You'll be all right.
Most overrated leadership buzzword.
Most overrated leadership buzzword. Well, my mind went to the least overrated.
Okay, you can
the
answer
least
it that way.
overrated is authenticity. Maybe the most overrated buzzword would be alignment.
Yeah, but both of those are big, right? They're happening in different circles. Unfortunately, I use the word alignment a lot. I think I just talked about being out of alignment today.
It's important, but it just gets overused.
Yeah. Because what does it really mean? I mean, it's just sort of a way for saying, like, I mean, in my case, the way I said it was, I don't even really know what's happening right now. So I'm out of alignment.
We seem disconnected.
Better. Yeah. I think that's the focus of AI. It just makes us sound smarter, but actually maybe we're not.
Exactly.
Okay. What's harder, or who's harder coaching? Who's harder to coach? Athletes, coaches, or pastors?
Pastors.
Why?
They think they're in charge.
How do you become a pastor to serve God and you think you're in charge?
Yeah. That's the problem. Yep.
That's funny.
Coaches are hard to coach because they're all the head coaches I know are control junkies.
I mean, I get that to a certain degree.
Yeah,
right?
they have to be. They have to be. That's why they're good at what they do, but sometimes that gets overdriven. Pastors are the same way. Most of them are also control junkies, and so what control junkies do, if there's something that is hard to control, they'll just kick it out. They'll just make it go away. And if that's a staff member, if that's a player, if that's a parishioner, if that's a whatever, let's just kick it away because I can't handle it. It's straining my control.
That's so interesting that when you think about for pastors, like I get it because we're human, but aren't we thankful that God doesn't do that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because I would have been kicked out.
A long time ago. We would both be gone. Yep.
Gone.
Yep.
No question. So, okay, one word your grandchildren would use to describe you.
Pawpaw.
What's that mean to you when they say that?
It's the sweetest sound in the world. Yeah, that's pretty rich.
Yeah.
Because my granddaughters are 15 and 11. And it's fun to take the one driving where she'll drive, practice. She just does not want her mother in the passenger seat. She's happy with Pawpaw there because
is Mom a little twitchy?
Yeah, a little overcoaching.
A little critical.
Like, yeah, so Pawpaw's a little more laid back and it works out great. But yeah, it's part of the reason we moved here from Carbondale, to be closer to them. And so every Saturday morning, breakfast with Pawpaw is pretty rich. It's the highlight of my week.
Do you cook or take them out?
Both.
Yeah.
Most of the time I take them out somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll send them a text message. Okay, girls, let's choose from these 4 restaurants. Where do you want to go? And it's pretty rich.
That's a great tradition.
Yeah,
that's a great tradition. So what do you think the best lesson is that sports teaches?
Perseverance.
What's the worst lesson you can teach someone?
Self-centeredness.
One thing every young leader should stop doing immediately.
Bossing people around.
That's not leading.
No, that's bossing.
Yeah.
It's different than leading.
Yeah. I always say there's a difference between managing and leading.
For sure.
Yeah. Most courageous person you've ever met?
Most courageous. Probably my son. My son's family. As they walked with us through this cancer battle, Jason and Jen and those 2 girls walked into hospital rooms. They came to our house when Sharon was rapidly declining. They were at our house like the day before their grandmother died. Those little girls showed more courage to look hard things in the eye. It would have been easy just to hide from it. But thankfully, I led Jason to look those things in the eye, deal with them, and he's leading his family to do the same. So the courage they showed in dealing with their grandmother's cancer it's epic to me.
That's beautiful. Look what you did with that son of yours. That's legacy.
He's a good one.
That's legacy.
He's a good one.
Well, I think that we will end on that note. I'm going to ask you to wrap up a little bit because I do want you. So you said that the thing that you learned a little late in life was, you didn't say it this way, but basically how short and precious life can be.
Yeah.
So to all of those of us who are out here, and it could be tomorrow, it could be 10 years, it could be 20 years. How do we get on fire for the life that we have right now? What's a thing that we can all be doing?
Yeah, I think one of the things to do, and I do this better at 70 than I did 30 for sure, is I'm watching for significant moments all the time. There's some things that are terribly mundane that happen every day, but once in a while, there's something that's unique that's about to happen, or you're in the middle of it and you go, hey, this is kind of a big deal. Stay there. Don't get in a hurry. Soak up every stinking drop of that thing. This is a big deal right now. And to learn to live in that moment that, an hour ago, it might have looked rather mundane, but suddenly there's something happening here. Stay there until it's done. John chapter 12, a lady comes and anoints Jesus with this jar of perfume that cost a year's wages. A crazy, extravagant thing. And Judas has a fit because he thinks it's wasteful and he didn't get the skim off the top of it. But Jesus says, leave her alone. She has done a beautiful thing to me. He says, the poor you have with you always, but me you do not always have. The point was, this is a significant moment. Judas didn't get it. Jesus got it. Mary certainly got it. So when those moments happen, stay there. Don't get in a hurry. There's going to be stuff to do. You got to take out the trash every week anyway. Just, no. Stay here. Don't be in a hurry. Soak up every drop of significance that comes out of that thing. And when it's over, okay, now let's go home. But until then, stay there.
Thank you.
You bet.
I don't think you could have said it any better.
Appreciate it.
Well, that is today's episode. I hope you guys that are listening got as much as I did out of this. I know when I hear it, when we drop this, it'll be even more. If you liked us, if you heard something, as always, share it. Give us a review. We're everywhere that you podcast. And, you know, my thing is just keep lighting the world. We're all in this together, and there's a lot of good out there. So go keep sharing it. Thank you, Roger.
Thank you.